Welcome everyone to another live stream. I hope everyone is doing well and I hope everything is set up correctly because it's been a while. So yes, audio's coming through. It looks all good. Cool. So I hope everyone is doing well. And yes, it's been a while. So maybe I'm going to be a bit rusty. And I think the last two streams I've done were with John, so I wasn't on my own as well. Now it's just me. So I hope everyone is good. Today, I should have maybe worn something to mark the occasion. I don't know. Well, I'm wearing black, and that's fitting for an antinatalist. So, yes, today is... I actually completely forgot for a second until like just then. I forgot that this was a birthday stream because we're going to be reacting to some of the first videos that I ever did. Not the very first one, because, well, I'll explain in a minute, but we're not going to react to the very first one. But, yes, so my birthday isn't today. My birthday's in less than a week. It's soon. And yeah, I thought we can mark the occasion with a stream, and obviously, well, it's a coincidence, but I was saying maybe I should have worn something because it's like a birthday stream or whatever. But then I thought antinatalist birthdays wear black because obviously it's a sad occasion. So anyway, so speaking of that, I posted on my channel a couple days ago saying that I'm going to be doing a new video series. So there's currently a video series which is the handbook series every Wednesday. So I hope everyone is watching those. So those are happening every Wednesday, but there's another video series I wanted to do which was kind of like each video was going to look into an aspect of life or a situation or something that an antinatalist could come across that they would deal with it or have certain questions about it or barriers because they're an antinatalist. So for example, how do you relate to birthdays? That sort of thing. How do you relate to your own birthday? How do you relate to the birthday of others? Should you celebrate it? Etc, etc. Anyway, so that's going to be coming out or start coming out soon. I haven't actually recorded any, but I've got a bunch of ideas for those. Thank you for everyone who submitted ideas. And yeah, those will be coming out soon. So to mark my birthday, I thought what we could do, I was thinking about what to do, and I was like, I don't really know what to do. I was like, what do you just kind of sit there and, oh, it's my birthday. And then I thought, oh, well, what I could do is go back and watch the first ever videos I made, which are from, I think, 2 to 3 years ago now. So it's been a while. And how many videos have I actually made? Let me just double check how many videos I've actually made now. Just over 350. So that's a lot of videos. Anyway, so let's start getting into things. I will go over what videos we're going to be watching because there are specific ones I've chosen. But there are a couple things I wanted to mention before we start that, because just a few updates, bits of news, because it's been a while since I've done a stream. So I've got them written down. First one is the handbook. So the handbook, hopefully many of you know, so it's rebutting or debunking common natalist objections to antinatalism. It is a project that has a website. It's now having a video series come out, and there's, I think, 5 maybe out now. But there's been, the video series was part of this. There's been a review. Now, the review is pretty much finished now. So I'm in the process of updating the website at the moment. So the handbook is going to be getting an updated website, updated responses to the objections. There's going to be a new translation coming out, which It still is getting finalized, but that's very cool. So a whole new language, and obviously the video series. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that's it. That's sort of the big review that is happening. So that's very cool, and that's going to be coming out as and when I get to things, but in the next couple of weeks, and I will put a post on my channel. So you'll, if you're following my channel, you will see there. The next thing is you know what? Maybe I should get this up on my screen because there's a couple of things I want to show. So where did I announce it? Here we go. Okay. Right. So let me share my screen and we can have a look at this. So, boom. Hopefully you guys can see that. Annoyingly, I'm a bit big. Let me make myself a bit smaller. So, one thing that's coming up, which I wanted to bring people's attention to, if you don't already know, is the Antinatalist Advocacy Conference is happening again this year, later this year, 29th and 30th of November. Put it in your diaries. I want everyone, this is the only time you're allowed to stop watching. Stop watching now and go put it in your diaries. So 29th, 30th of November, it's a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. It'll be happening both days. And in the next sort of month and a half, we're going to start announcing who the speakers are and the topics they're going to be talking on. We've got some great speakers this year. So yeah, look forward to that. And yeah, we're going to be covering some good topics. The theme of the conference is Antinatalist Doing Good. So the last conference, I'll switch back to just me for a minute. So the last conference we had, or the last conference we did, was based around the topic of like antinatalism crossroads. So basically, like, you know, which avenue does antinatalism want to take? Which set of ideas do we sort of want to adopt and move forward with? So we had people like David Pearson, who proposes a transhumanist approach. We had people like Matti Hyrion, who was presenting extinctionism. So we had a bunch of stuff there. We had a segment on animals, you know, should we focus on animals, this sort of stuff. So that was more ideas stuff. This time it's going to be more, what do you actually do? You as an individual antinatalist, what should we do? How do we tackle the issues that we want to tackle? So it's going to be hopefully more practical things that you can more apply to your life, maybe even your everyday life. And that's going to be very cool. So that is the conference. I will share my screen again. So, yeah, we've got here Antinatalist Conference 2025. Exciting speakers, new session formats. We've got some new formats happening, and more. So go subscribe to the Antinatalist Advocacy YouTube channel. You can sign up to our newsletter as well, and you'll get definitely all the information there. And you can catch up on the conference from 2023, which is very cool. So the other thing I quickly wanted to mention was here. So unfortunately, I wasn't actually able to attend, but the antinatalists in London, joined by Nimrod. So if people don't remember, Nimrod is the amazing antinatalist activist from Israel who travels all over the shop talking to people about antinatalism. And I'm trying to think how many tours he's done now, and I kind of don't know because I've lost count. But he's done many tours. He does obviously lots of activism in Israel. I'm trying to think. He's only done tours of Europe, I think, so far. But he does have ideas. I know he's mentioned maybe to go elsewhere. But he's definitely said that he wants to do more tours after the one he's doing. In fact, the current tour he's doing hasn't finished yet. There's a second half to it. So Nimrod joined the London Antinatalists at Pride. So we've got one of the London Antinatalists here holding a sign prevent suffering, don't procreate. We've got another one here of the Antinatalist London Legends. You can make a family without biological offspring. You've got another one in the background here, Antinatalism is compassion. So there's Nimrod. You've got another one of the London Antinatalists here, make love, not babies. Nimrod's favourite sign, oral and anal, is more ecological. If you can't figure that out, then I'm not going to help you. Nimrod again, and I actually think this is an amazing photograph, this one. Like the way his hair is sitting as well, it looks very, I mean, I don't know if maybe I have like weird standards, but I think that's like very photogenic. And Make Love Not Babies, again, this is Nimrod's website, don'tprocreate.org. And do we have another one? Yes, and then we've got Nimrod again with two more of the London/UK antinatalists. Adopt, help someone who already exists. The only perversion is reproduction, which I did see someone comment and not entirely get that one. It's a reference to the fact that religious people will say that being gay or, you know, gay, bisexual, anything not like normal, inverted commas, is a perverted, right? It's a perversion. And so it's turning on its head. Cool. I think that is all I had to go over beforehand. Let me check. Oh, there's one other thing that's very exciting. Now, I'm not going to fully go over it now. All I will say is that there is some exciting stuff that is going to be announced on my channel soon. I don't know exactly when, but in the next couple of days. And it involves something physical that is you will be able to order some of and get them to you, and you can use, antinatalist related. And the best part is they're going to be free apart from postage. You have to pay postage, but come on, throw me a bone. But yeah, so there's going to be some free stuff for people, shipping all over the world, and it'll be some stuff that you can use to help spread antinatalism. So that is coming very soon, in the next couple of days. Okay, cool. So let's get started. That is everything to go through. I am now going to, let's hope everything works. Boom, boom, boom. Yes. Okay, so let's start from the start. Okay, so a bit of background. So, I didn't go over which specific videos we're going to cover, but you know, whatever, it's fine. So I will just tell you now. So this video is the first ever. I'm pretty sure this is the first ever video that was uploaded to my channel, I think. And I just recorded it on my phone quickly in my bedroom. I took like several takes and like blundered so many of them. I was really not used to this. And yeah, this is no longer available on my channel. I took it down because it's just a short, pointless video to be on my channel. It doesn't need to be there. But given that it's the first ever one, we're going to have a look at it. So yeah, be prepared to cringe. I also think I had my hair quite a bit, like a few settings shorter there, which is weird because then the next video we're going to look at, I have longer hair. So my hair was all over the place at that time. Very quickly, before we do that, I'm just going to see who's in the chat and welcome people. Welcome Suran, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Welcome Maestro, welcome Mike Donegan, welcome Alden, legend as always, Unknown Pleasures, obviously. Welcome Anna, welcome Sujal, welcome Syndicate, absolute legend. Welcome Matty CR7. Welcome John Wagner, absolute legend as well. Danny, Danny's asking, is it in person or online? I think Danny is talking about the conference there. It is online conference. I forgot to say that. It's online. It's free. Everyone can attend. You don't even need a ticket. It will just be live streamed on YouTube, on the Antinatalist Advocacy YouTube channel. We've also got the Antinatal Lope. Welcome to the chat. We've also got Bert van Dek Bosch saying condoms, question mark. I think that's about what's going out in the mail. It is not condoms. But hopefully it'll be just as effective. We've got the man in the chat. We've got Louis. We've got Mario as well, JPat. Bovine Blue Stocking as well. Absolute legend, Bovine Blue Stocking. And you'll notice Bovine has a little emblem star thing next to their name. And that is because Bovine is a member of the channel. Absolute legendary stuff. Greenleaf as well, welcome. I think that is everyone. Apologies if I didn't see any birthday wishes or anything like that. Thank you so much if you sent them. I did see a few questions there that I didn't fully read. I don't even know if they're for me. I just saw question marks. I won't be able to get to everything. If you have a question or you want to say something or you just want to support the channel, send it via either super chat or donation with the link in the chat, the pinned link in the pinned chat. Speak of the devil, we've already got one through.
To be warriors against evil.
And we've had a donation through already from an absolute legend who doesn't share their name, so I won't. But you know who you are, and you're a top G. I don't know if top G translates internationally. Is that a British thing or is that American as well? Top G, I don't know, but it's top gangster anyway. And they say, I'm glad you are back to streaming. Also, funny thumbnail for the birthday stream. Stone cold expression. That's the thing. I don't think I have any photos of just like stock photos of myself where I'm smiling. And if I do, then I remember that I looked constipated in them because I just didn't know how to get a good photo of me smiling or whatever for the camera in such an artificial situation. So, yeah. But anyway, it's an antinatalist on their birthday, so it is also fitting. Then they go on to say, typical antinatalist on their birthday, exactly. Okay, see, there we go. We appreciate you, Lawrence. I wish you all the best. Absolute legend. Thank you so much. You are also a massive legend. And keep doing what you're doing. You know who you are. And thank you so much for the support. Cool. Okay. So I think that is everything. Heartbow. It's been a long day. I had a long day at work. It was a big day at work. And then I went swimming afterwards as well. So it's been a lot on today. But Heartborn is also in the chat. Welcome, Heartborn. Top G as well. Right. Okay. Let us begin. So again, this is first ever video uploaded to my channel. Yeah. So let's see how it was back then. Oh, why is it not playing? This channel, like hopefully within the next month. Hopefully the audio is okay for everyone. Let me know if it's not loud enough. I will try and sort that out. Let me just see. Yeah, okay. I've just, on my end, it seems like it's loud enough, so let's go. I've got most of the stuff ready that I need to. Oh, okay, hang on. That wasn't right at the start. Hey, everyone. Lawrence here. So I'm just making this super quick video just to let anyone know that does happen to watch this, although I don't think... So this is obviously super early on, no editing at all. So I just kept on doing takes until I got it right all the way through. I can't remember how many takes I took, but it was a lot. Many people will. That I intend to start uploading to this channel, like hopefully within the next month. I've got most of the stuff ready that I need to, you know, produce videos and stuff. But I'm just being slow about it. I've got a few more things to get, stuff like that. But I have a lot of ideas on what I want to make videos on. We've also got Duz in the chat, who also has the membership emblem. Absolute legend. Welcome, Duz. Like, very briefly, like, I'll cover stuff like animal rights, some social issues as well. So, for example, like freedom of speech. And also... So very quickly, so when I first started the channel, I didn't necessarily intend it to actually be an antinatalist channel. That was one of the things I was going to post about, but I was intending the channel to be just I'll make videos about whatever I'm thinking about, whatever issue I have some thoughts on at that point in time. So obviously that would have covered like veganism, animal rights. Obviously it would have covered antinatalism, and I'm about to mention antinatalism. But I was going to do things on a whole range of social issues. When I posted this, this I forget exactly when this would have been, but it would have been like right in when the culture war stuff was really going on. And I think, I'm not sure if we would have come out of COVID lockdown by this point. I'm not sure. But anyway, when I reference social issues, I'm talking about like culture war type stuff, which I got like very into at that time. And now I'm just kind of like fucking tired of it. And I'm not even sure I mean, there's still like culture war stuff going on, but it's not as deep into it as it used to be. But yeah, so that's what initially intended the channel to be, is like smattering of all sorts of topics. But then I was speaking to friends, and one particular friend who also does YouTube. He has a bigger channel than mine on animal rights, David Rams. Obviously, I was talking to him when I was thinking about putting a YouTube channel together. And one bit of advice he gave me is like, you kind of have to pick your thing and then do it. Obviously, there are channels that span many different subjects, but they kind of have like their own thing, their own style or whatever that they take and apply to all those subjects, right? And I had no idea on what my thing or style was going to be, and the topic that I was most keenly wanting to talk about on YouTube was antinatalism. So basically, after that piece of advice, I just decided, well, I'll just do an antinatalist channel. Like, there's loads of stuff to talk about on it, loads of research I can do into different sort of niche bits of antinatalism, all that sort of stuff. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just do full antinatalism. And over 350 videos later, and I still have so many ideas of videos and more to do, like things to do off of YouTube, all sorts of stuff. It's just a matter of time, like there's not enough hours in the day to do all this stuff in the time that I want to do it. So yeah, I'm slowly getting through the things I want to do, and then I add new things on, and I've got this ever-growing list. But yes, obviously I chose to do antinatalism, but let's keep going. The ethics of procreation as well. I think that's a big topic that isn't getting enough attention, well, in general, but on YouTube as well. There are some people out there that do some good stuff, but I just want to be able to throw my hat in on that, as it were. I also think my voice has kind of changed since I did this video. I don't know why that is. You'll notice in the next couple of videos we look at, I was much skinnier back then. I've put on weight since then, combination of fat and muscle. But back then I think this was around the time that I was still, I can't remember exactly when this was posted, but around that time, there was a time when I got very deep into animal rights activism in one specific organization, and I was so focused on doing that work that I kind of neglected other parts of like exercising, eating properly. So I lost a bunch of weight and got quite skinny for me. And I don't think I fully recovered. I don't think I fully gained the weight back on until a while afterwards. So by the time I record the next videos we're going to see, I'm pretty sure I wasn't in that organization anymore. But I hadn't put all the weight back on. I think I put some weight back on, but I haven't put it all back on. So, but you'll see what I mean. On that and also the other things that I mentioned as well. So, don't know if anyone's going to care. I don't expect anyone to care about what I have to say about anything. But yeah, Sujal says my voice has gotten a bit deeper. Clearly my balls dropped for a second time. I can at least throw my hat in the arena, and if anyone catches it, then that's a bonus, I guess. So yeah, I guess if anyone wants, you know what I actually remember, and this is hilarious. I just noticed it here. Yes. So let me try it out. Fuck. My hat in on that, as it were. So basically, I don't know if everyone who's watching has ever uploaded a video to YouTube, but if you upload a video to YouTube and you haven't uploaded a thumbnail, it suggests still frames from your video as thumbnails, and sometimes they get you in disgusting poses. And when I uploaded this, one of the suggested thumbnails was an absolute, like, they just got me fucking tripping. And I'm gonna try. I just saw the frame that it was, and I'm gonna try and pause it on that frame and show you just how dirty YouTube did me, or tried to do me. On that, and also the other things that I mentioned as well. So, don't know if anyone's gonna care. I don't expect anyone to care about what I have to say about anything, but I can at least throw my hat in the arena, and if anyone catches it. That was it there. Not this exact. I look like a fucking monkey there, but not this exact one. But like 1 or 2 frames before, YouTube, that one, that one, YouTube fucking did me. They suggested that as a thumbnail. Fuck me. Right from the start, YouTube, if I ever get bad views on a video, it's because YouTube's working against me, and they started from day one. Now, obviously, I'm joking, but yeah, absolutely dirty. Then that's a bonus, I guess. So yeah, I guess if anyone wants to expect anything, then expect something to be uploaded on this channel. Like with, I can see that tickled quite a lot of you. John asks, what year is this first video made? Let's continue watching. I will find out in the background, and I'll let you know, John, in the next month. But yeah, I was just making this as like a quick update, I guess. It's not really an update if it's the first one, but I don't know, a quick announcement or whatever the correct word is. So yeah, I'll see you when I start uploading. In this video, so that was the first video that I ever did. This one is going to be, so after that, I did a couple of videos where I edited some video meme things and made antinatalist versions of them. But those weren't videos. Like, I wasn't in those videos. I was just editing them and putting them up. But I'm pretty sure this is my first ever video I uploaded where it was me speaking to camera. And it was outrageous. You can see, obviously, my hair is much longer. My beard is much longer then. I'm slightly skinnier. I've put on weight here, obviously. So I was skinnier than this. I was using the, what are they called? Lapel mic. And what I did was, because I didn't have my setup properly, let me bring it onto me so I can show you. So what I did is I basically had, so you'll probably remember that's my old room from before I moved into this flat. So you'll remember, well, if any of you watched me from like a year and a half or more ago, you remember that was my background before. That was my old room that I used to film in. But what I did is because I had a DSLR, but I didn't have one that had a fold-out screen. So I couldn't see what I was recording. So I had it on this big tripod that came up to like head level, because I'm standing up here. It came up to head level, and it would be the DSLR looking at me, but I couldn't see what I was doing. And obviously I had the mic going down my shirt on the floor and then up into the mic. And what I had to do was get a fucking a HDMI that plugged into the camera and then plugged into a TV I had. And I had like the camera here and a table down here with a TV on the table. And then I could see myself in the TV with the HDMI cable. So I couldn't see what I was recording from the camera, but I could see it from the TV. And what I would have to do is look at the TV while I'm adjusting the while I'm adjusting like the focus and stuff, and you'll see, I think in the next video, I got the focus weight off. I wasn't in focus, but yeah, that was just such a ball ache to do that the whole time, and so that I didn't have to constantly like stoop down to see what was on the TV. I had to like lean the TV back and put a book underneath it so it was angled up at me, so it was easier to see. It was a clusterfuck. But that was my setup when I first started making videos. I'm not sure how many videos I made like that. I only think I made like, I think I made like 2 or 3, not many at all, because I was like, this is ridiculous. So then I invested in, I got a desk. I invested in the camera I have now, and the microphone and stuff like that. But so John asked what the date was when I first started uploading. So let's have a look at that. So I know it was about 2 to 3 years ago. So, okay, I've got it here. So it was all the way back. So the first video that I ever uploaded was in September 2020. So it's not 2 to 3 years ago. It's literally 5 years ago. No, surely not. When I looked at it, okay, well, wait, is my mind screwing me over? That is 5 years ago. It's 2025. Jesus. Okay, that's much further back than I thought. Yeah, so there's your answer, John. And then, so this video that we're watching now was uploaded in May 2021. So actually a while after. So right at the very beginning, I didn't have the most frequent upload schedule. So this video now is, I'm in this video that we're going to be watching, I'm responding to a New York Times article, and I uploaded it on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. 2021. Okay. All right, let's get back to the reacting. Look like a fucking caveman in this.
I wanted to talk about a recent article that came out on April the 13th in the New York Times. Why, despite everything, you should have kids if you want them. In a time of COVID-19, climate change and catastrophe, having a baby is an act of radical hope. I wanted to do this video on it because I read the article and it just really annoyed me. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to go through it and share my thoughts.
I'm just going to say straight from that, don't expect, well, I'm not saying my editing or anything like that is amazing now, but even compared to what it is now, be prepared for shit editing and all of this sort of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I don't even know what this is going to be
On it.
All right, so I was just skipping the first part of the article because it's just waffle or something.
What is driving the COVID baby bust? Perhaps some of it can be explained by people simply getting sick of each other, feeling unable to maintain the mystery and romance in their relationship. More profoundly, the pandemic has compounded the material difficulties, low wages, high rents, and insecure jobs faced by the generation that came of age in the wake of the 2008 economic crash. Birth rates have been plummeting in the developed world for some time now, and it isn't just about good access to contraception. Increasingly, young people feel not only deeply uncertain and insecure about the state of their own lives, but also so drastically concerned about the state of the world that they almost feel it would be an act of
Oh god, this is painful.
cruelty to bring new life into. Whilst I think most people will still be blinded by sort of rose-tinted optimism about reality, I think the way the world is going and the fact that there are a lot of crises going on right now, at least some people are beginning to think in the way that, oh well, actually, is it really my place to impose this on someone else and roll the dice for them, given that people at least are beginning to perceive now that the risks are beginning to increase.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by that. I think people are becoming at least slightly more sort of aware and slightly more thinking about procreation from an ethical point of view of like, is it right to be bringing a child into this world at the moment? You know, obviously, I was doing this at the time of the pandemic, but there's all sorts of stuff happening now with geopolitics, with conflicts. Obviously, you've got AI right on the doorstep. That's going to radically change things. So, yeah, there's a few and climate change, obviously, and extreme weather events becoming more likely. And there's a few things that are just so obvious that I think it's gotten to a point where even I don't know if I can go this far, but like maybe even the average person is somewhat putting some thought into this, even if it's like, oh, is this a world I should bring a kid into? Fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like even if it's to that extent, like it's just sort of passing their mind, because before that, I don't think that would have been the case. But yeah, we've got a few new people in the chat. We got Nadia in the chat. Welcome, Nadia, absolute legend. And Nadia has the supporter badge as well, top legend. And we've got, I'm not sure how to say your name, sorry, because it is not in English characters, but welcome to the chat. Massilia, welcome to the chat. We've got another person who, again, sorry, I don't know how to say your name because it's not in English characters, but you say, is this live? It is live. And that you're a big fan. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for watching my content. I'm glad you appreciate it. Linda is in the chat. Welcome, Linda. I can't see anyone else new. Hopefully I haven't missed anyone.
One birth control has made having children a choice in way? I'm not sure.
Fucking hell. I mean, I think that is a mistake by the editors, but yeah, how I handled that.
Sure, this is the New York Times. I'm not sure who does their proofreading, but yeah, in a way that was.
I can't really talk. The stuff that I write, it needs to be proofread like 5 fucking times.
It's never possible before, but the idea is not necessarily new. In the 12th and 13th centuries, the Cathars, a heretic sect, I think that should be heretical sect as well, but whatever, that flourished across southern France and northern Italy, preached that the material world was created by Satan and denounced reproduction as a sin. In the 19th century, the notoriously gloomy philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that far from bearing the character of a gift, human existence is entirely the character of a contracted.
I still need to do a video on the Cathars. There's I've got a playlist on my channel which some of you may have seen some of the videos of, Antinatalist history, or the history of antinatalism. I don't know which way around it is. And I've got a few videos in there, like I got one on Marie Yu, I got one on Almari, I've got one with Karima Kerma, I've got one with Karim and Lenny on Koenig as well. That's a very good one. Definitely check that one out. But yeah, I need to add more to that. Again, it's just time. There's so many aspects of antinatalist history that I want to dig into. I've got a massive list of different names or groups or whatever throughout history that I want to look into, but it's just a matter of time. I just yeah. If there is a millionaire out there that wants to sponsor me to do this full time, I would not say no.
Dead. And in recent decades, the South African philosopher David Benatar has argued extensively in support of the doctrine of antinatalism, the belief that birth is morally wrong. I'm not sure why this person refers to it as a doctrine. I know this is an opinion piece, so, like they will obviously show their...
I think I'm kind of being nitpicky here. I don't know, maybe I was like triggered by something, I don't know. But I think I've got a bit like a pole up my back or something. Because, yeah, I think they were probably just using the word doctrine in like just a neutral way.
Bias, but like, I mean, that just seems like a case of really blatant, just like not even trying to hide it, bias. On the point of like antinatalism being the belief that birth is morally wrong, yeah, if you want to take like the most basic definition of it, but I don't know, if someone gives a definition like this, I feel like this guy hasn't fully understood actually what it is, and he seems to be now writing an article on it in the New York Times, but like, you know, each to their own. According to Professor Benatar, reproduction is usually, if not always,
I was clearly pissed off at this time. I don't know what had happened before I watched this video, but I clearly was annoyed by something. I don't know. And David's in the chat says full caveman. I was definitely full caveman. I'm not sure if this was still during lockdowns and stuff, but there was actually this is at my family home. This room, and I was living with my family during the lockdowns, and there was a woman on our street who was going up and down, taking photographs of all the people who lived in the houses in their doorway. And there's a picture of me and my family in our doorway. And like my hair is so long that, for me, obviously it's not like Goldilocks or anything, but yeah, I look, if you ever seen a caveman in modern times, it's that photograph. But I mean, you guys will never see that photograph, but just trust me.
Selfish act. Most people, where they even make a decision to have a child, make that decision, I suspect, in order to serve their own procreative and related interests. He writes in his...
Exactly, he does, says the great lockdown of 50,000 BC. Exactly.
2006 book, Better Never to Have Been, The Harm of Coming into Existence. At one point, he even likens baby making to taking hostages, a strategy on behalf of breeders to increase their value in the eyes of society. His case study, if two people need a kidney and only one of them is the single mother of a young child, who does society think should get the kidney? It seems like the author of this article kind of has like an axe to grind with either antinatalism or maybe just Benatar specifically.
I'm not. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I don't think they do. I think I had an axe to grind when I was recording this video. This is crazy.
Just with the language that the guy is using, like Benatar even likens baby making to blah 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 blah. I don't think it's just Benatar that does that. He's just observing.
I'm being so sensitive. Oh my god.
The reality that most people would save the person who has a child over the person who doesn't have a child. I feel like Benatar is simply just observing what is actually true about society. At this point, Professor Benatar's argument meets one made by another contemporary thinker, the queer theorist Lee Elderman. His 2004 book, No Future, attacked what he called the reproductive futurism, a sort of patriarchal homophobic fallacy that posits the child as the phantasmic beneficiary of every political intervention. But the baby bust may also reflect what seems to be a growing common sense among the highly educated and liberal-minded.
I have no idea why I reacted to this specific article. It seems to be all over. I mean, maybe it gets better partway through, but it just seems to be all over the place. And surely there was better things for me to react to at this time.
Which holds that not having children is the morally right thing to do. Having a child, we are told, is among the heftiest additions you can make to your carbon footprint, especially if your child grows up to be the sort of pampered citizen of the developed world who will eat steak, fly on airplanes and mine Bitcoin. Having one fewer child, according to one study, prevents 58.6 tons of carbon emissions every year. And of course, any child born now will not only contribute to climate change, they will also have to live through its effects. If millennials like me, the people most likely to be having children, have already suffered a major fall in living standards relative to our parents' generation, then our kids may have things even worse. This was a problem that I was confronted with immediately, overwhelmingly, when in January 2019, on an ultrasound screen streamed directly from my partner Eddie's belly, I first saw the shapes that would grow up into my son, Iggy. Wriggling around, he was bony and translucent, never sitting still long enough for the technician to get the measurements she needed.
I wonder if Iggy is going to look back at that description with delight. Bony and translucent, like fucking E.T. or something.
He did. an involuntary mischief which nevertheless made me feel strangely proud. I loved this thing, and Eddie and I had always wanted to be parents. But was my love for my unborn child really anything more than the selfish, perhaps patriarchal desire to see my genes carry on? Previously, such antinatalist worries had seemed abstract, but now they have become concrete. Might I honestly be able to guarantee this grey little tadpole even the possibility of a good enough life? So just going back to him musing about whether, his feelings were just his, selfish desires, I would say, yeah, like the only reason you're having the kid is because you want to have the kid, like it's not like you're doing it for the kid.
I'm so pissed off, and I don't know why. It's so funny.
Sake, the kid doesn't want to be born. Like, the kid doesn't exist. You can philosophize about it all you want, but at the end of the day, like, why is that child being born? Because you made the decision, you want it to happen.
Right.
But Kant was writing in 1781 when atheism was dangerous enough to cost you your lecturing job. We now live in secular times, even if not everyone feels in step with them. And so I wanted a secular solution to the problem, leaving aside the matter of personal religious belief. I don't know the author's background in terms of where they come from, but I feel like it's pretty Western-centric to say that we're living in secular times. A lot of countries still have state religions, and a lot of countries that aren't Western are, religion is a really dominating force. So I feel like it was a bit Western-centric to say that we live in secular times, but I guess that's not a massive point. Taken together, these two quotes allow us to trace the outlines of a theory. What if hope exists not for an individual human being now living, but rather for the members of future generations who, though powerless to redeem us, might nevertheless be able to overturn the injustices we have been subject to and carve out a better existence for themselves? So this bit, first of all, it's just all this wishy-washy nonsense about hope. It's just this vague word that people use to kind of shift the sort of focus away from them, because they basically just say, I did it because I had hope. What does that even mean? And what does he mean hope is for future generations? These future generations, they don't exist. What are they hoping for? What do they need hope for? You're just creating them for them to need to have the hope to continue, for them then to make more generations to then need the hope to continue. None of it makes any sense. And then he goes on to talk about future generations being able to overcome the injustices that his generation or maybe past generations have had to endure, and that they can maybe carve out their own existence. If you live in a world where you've had to battle injustice, and injustice exists, which it does in our world, there's a lot of it, why would you bring someone else into existence to have to go through the injustices themselves and make the effort to overcome them? The only reason these
I look so disgusted at this article.
injustices exist is because there are victims to fall victim of them. You're just creating more victims to fall victim of them, and then somehow trying to justify it by being oh, well, they'll overcome it. And by having to overcome it, they're obviously going to suffer from it. I don't know, I just feel like you're recognizing there's so much injustice in the world, and then you just sadistically throw.
Looks like Syndicate is enjoying the run in the chat. Yeah, I clearly was super pissed off here. I have no idea.
Someone else in there and try to cover it up by saying oh, well, they'll overcome it. Well, don't put them in the position where they have to. In this view, hope is not for us, but it is nevertheless related to us by means of our connection to other future human beings. I might not be able to hope for anything, but we certainly can meaningfully hope for a better world through the actions we might take through the world and across generations together. This, at any rate, is how...
this article, I don't know if this is a term coined already, but it just comes across to me as hope wank. It's just complete. I don't even know if that makes grammatical sense, but it's just complete hope wank. It's just these when they're just they just justify things by well, hopefully, hopeful, hope about the future. Yeah, I don't know. It's just unbridled optimism.
How I would answer the antinatalist position. It makes no sense to think of children as tokens of their parents' carbon consumption, inheriting a taste for steak and air travel. And it makes no sense to think that whole generations might simply be blindly condemned to a certain fate before they have even been conceived. Kind of just in more words, he basically just says, like, you know, you don't know what fate these kids are going to have. But like, this makes no sense to me. Just because you're uncertain as to how someone's life is going to turn out, that doesn't just give you carte blanche to just create them, just keep chucking people into reality, and you're just like, oh, well, you know, you don't know what's going to happen to them. Yeah, exactly, we don't know what's going to happen to them. You literally have no idea how their life is going to turn out. So how are you using that to justify putting them in a position where you don't actually know what's going to happen to them, when you literally didn't have to do it in the first place? Err on the side of caution, don't create them. No one gets hurt from that. The reason for this is that human action is not determined in any hard sense. Human beings exist transformatively in relation to their world. Another philosopher, Hannah Arendt, I hope I'm saying her name right, referred to this fact with the concept of natality, the new beginning inherent in birth. The world might well be a terrible place, but by having a child, you are introducing something new into it. Okay, so I want to notice two things here. First of all, he admits that the world might be a terrible place, but still he's going to chuck someone else into it. Second thing is, he says you are introducing something new into it. Like, he's already dehumanized his own future child so much that he says,
I have no idea who the author of this article is, but I hate them right now. That is so funny.
Something. Of course, this is a sort of gamble with reality. You don't yet know who your child might be. Again, what is it with the dehumanizing? Like, you're not gambling with reality. You're gambling with literally someone else. You're creating them. You're literally doing the most significant thing you can do to someone, because when you create them, you put them at risk of everything that you could put them at risk of, and you're just like dehumanizing the hell out of them. Like, no, you're not gambling with reality, you're gambling with someone else. Don't try and scuttle away into the shadows and try and like absolve yourself of any responsibility by saying you're juggling with reality. No, you're juggling with your own child's life. But if we dare to do it, to bring something,
To be fair, I'm right, so...
again, dehumanizing, new into the world, we might hit upon the right path, and then things really could conceivably get better. Better for who? Sure, people are going to be born, and we should make things better for those people and prepare for the future, but that is not a reason to bring someone into existence. Like, you don't bring someone into existence to make the world better for them. They don't exist. To be clear, I do not mean to suggest that if you really don't want kids, or if you can't have them for whatever reason, financial or biological, then you're somehow less morally good than the people that do. I admit there's a danger that this might all come across as mere reproductive futurism, the future endlessly deferred to some hypothetical child who it is incumbent upon couples,
Oh, it's so painful to listen to myself reading this stuff out.
heterosexual couples for the most part, to produce. Or else it might seem I'm preaching a sort of idle waiting, every generation sitting around hoping for the kids to come along and tell everyone what to do. But these failings are not inherent to the theory, they can be overcome. Alright, well, basically the whole article he has been saying that. He literally said earlier that he's gone through injustices, or his generation has, and that the next generation will overcome them. So you literally are passing the book. And then he just says, like, these things can be overcome, and then just provides no ways of how to overcome them. In the wake of the pandemic, we must work to reverse the ways in which, both as a result of it, but also in the decades leading up to it, we have become increasingly isolated from one another, reduced to atomized cocoons of individuals and their families. And kids, if nothing else, can be a huge part of that resistance. What are you resisting against? You're literally contributing to the most mainstream thing ever. You're not part of the resistance. Having kids is the most mainstream thing you can do. Children, in truth, require many people, not just their parents, to help them flourish. Raising children ought not to mean forming a private home.
And we've got Jim, Made by Jim Bob, in the chat. Hello, Made by Jim Bob. I'm sure you look back on our debate with great affection. Yeah, it's good to see you hanging around. And Jim Bob says, you can't violate someone if they don't exist. So remember that.
home to keep them safely contained in, away from the world. They must be raised to participate in it through the care and guidance of grandparents, godparents, teachers, friends, community. And so actually having kids is far from the only way to help bring about the future we must hope can be made not only for or through future generations, but with them too. I agree with him here. Yeah, having kids is by far not the only way that you can contribute to improving the lot of future generations. Now, it's not a reason to create future generations, but they are going to exist whether we like it or not. So we should put some effort in to trying to improve the conditions that they're going to be in. Now, is having a kid the best way of doing that? I would definitely say not, and he doesn't really say that it is either. He says that it's not the only way by far, and I agree with him there. I am happy enough at any rate with the gamble Eddie and I took. Well, I'm glad you're happy with the gamble, but let's see how your kid's life turns out. If it doesn't turn out well, which I really hope it does, but if it doesn't, you're going to look like such an asshole for having written this article.
Oh my god.
What if your kid turns out to have severe depression and is contemplating suicide and comes across this article and sees you preemptively, before they're even born, rubbing it in their face? I just think people need to consider more the things they're putting out there before they have a kid, especially if they're talking about the kid before the kid is even born. Preemptively rubbing it in their face, if they may turn out to be someone who has severe depression, I just think that is just kind of gross, to be honest. We have a wonderful boy, alert, inquisitive and strong. He's a little shy perhaps, but he bursts with excitement for the little things that interest him in the world. Buses, traffic lights, the doors of the houses we pass on the street. He's the central point of his own reality, but soon enough he's going to have to learn to live with new life too. We are defying the baby bust. Our second child is due in September. I cannot wait to meet them. I cannot wait to help them, just as I am sure so many others in love and hope will help them to become themselves. So that's the end of the article. I guess the final thing we learned there is what resistance he's part of, which is the resistance against the baby bust. So there we go. Generally, I didn't think this article was amazing. It doesn't feel like he's done that much thinking on the issue.
Yeah, I didn't come across as a fan to this article.
A lot of it just really didn't make any sense. And he did stuff and then claimed he didn't. Like, he passed the book to the next generations and then claimed he didn't. And then he said that he could solve issues, didn't say how he's going to solve them. So generally, I just really was not impressed by the article at all. And I just wanted to, you know, make this video just to go through it and point out where I disagreed. I mean, I don't know if anyone's actually going to care. But there we go. So in this video, I wanted to...
And I didn't have my intro either. So now you can see, this is me when I was skinnier. You can see that I'm a lot skinnier here. Yeah, I didn't have my intro. And my did I say intro or outro? I didn't have my outro. I'm not exactly sure when I introduced my outro, actually. You remember, you know, the outro of space, not space, Mars, and dun 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 dun. I've heard that tune so many times, but I still quite like it as a tune, actually. Actually, should we do a little thing? I thought this would be quite interesting. So, just put a 1 in the chat if you know the outro to my videos, if you know what I'm talking about with the shot of Mars and the music. Just put a 1 in the chat so I know there's a decent amount of people that actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, so people... Okay, yeah, a few people know. Okay, so I'd just be interested... I'd just be interested to know if people actually like that. I like the outro, so I'm probably not going to change it. But I'd be interested to know if people like it or if people don't like it and think I should change it. So I've just put a poll in the chat. Hopefully you can see that and you should be able to vote on that. Okay, yeah, it's like 100% so far. People like it. Okay, that's cool. Cool. Okay. All right. It's yeah. A bunch of people are voting it, and they're all saying yes. So we don't need to continue doing that for that long. But no, that's cool. I'm glad people like it because I also like it. I like the imagery of Mars and it being barren, and the music and etc. etc. Okay, so this next video, so that one that we just watched was a New York Times article. This one that we were about to watch is a slightly later video. This is later in the year, in 2021, in August. And this one, I haven't got it up. This one is responding to a podcast called Open to Truth, and they did an episode on antinatalism, and it's these two guys, and yeah, and what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna speed up the playback to like 1.28. So yeah, this one there's a video clip I'm responding to, so it's not another article. Do not worry.
Another video by the YouTube channel Open for Truth. I don't think we really need to do any preamble, so let's just go straight into it and look at what they said.
I would say there's two main brands of antinatalism. The first would be local, and the second is global. So local would be just individual people, this is the claim, have an interest in never having been born.
So I don't know where he got this way of breaking it down. Maybe he came up with it himself, but yeah, I think I vaguely remember people talking about like local and global antinatalism before. I don't know where those designations came from. They don't really make sense to me. Yeah, but let's see what he talks about.
And a global concern would be no one ever, at least moving forward, and perhaps in the recent past, should procreate.
I've heard this distinction before, but it was completely different to what they said there. And I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it seems like they're a bit confused, because when they said that local is that individuals who aren't born have an interest in not being born, and then they said global is that no one should have kids any time. It seems like global, from what they're putting forward, is a conclusion drawn from the statement of local. Individuals don't have an interest in being born, therefore no one should have kids anywhere. I've not heard that distinction before. The distinctions that I've heard before are that local is that in a specific set of conditions people shouldn't have kids. So let's say, if there's not enough food, or the child is going to have some sort of crippling disability.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's what I'd heard. Yeah, local is like conditional in other terms. That's probably the more common way you've heard it referenced, is conditional antinatalism, or you can call it conditional natalism. I mean, either way. Yeah.
Or something like that. And global is just no one should procreate, regardless of like the circumstances they're in.
I can try to imagine that, just a horrible or a very short life where maybe a baby is born and they struggle to breathe and they're like choking on their food for 2 days and then they die. Like that, I see.
Yes.
Horrifically tragic that would happen. You wonder, what is the good in this at all?
And again, and that tiptoes into the whole like problem of evil discussion.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone would deny that
could happen.
And it's tragic and horrific. Yeah.
Relatively early on in their discussion, they both agree that someone could be born and have, I think they said, like a very horrific life, where it's a horrific situation, and that's very possible. I just wanted to highlight that because I think that just sets the tone for the rest of the discussion, and I think they kind of ignore it for the rest of the discussion. Maybe they don't ignore it, but I don't think they're factoring it in enough, because very early on they say, you can create someone for literally no reason just because you want to, and they can have an extremely horrible life, and they both agree with that, but then they just don't seem to take the next step and go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do it then, because I'm making a decision for someone else and they don't want me to make the decision in any way. They don't want anything, but it could go really, really bad for them, and they just don't make the next step of saying, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
I just don't feel like I'm again, to the problem of evil, I don't feel like I'm in an epistemic position to know whether or not, or to even be able to weigh, will the good that could be produced through this life and that could be experienced by this child, will it outweigh the suffering that they might experience? I have no clue. I don't have any clue with my own life. I don't know how the next 50 years are going to unfold for me, and whether the suffering will outweigh the good.
he's basically making a case for not procreating.
So next, then, one of the guys kind of puts this suggestion forward, which I think is true, is that, you know, we can't calculate the suffering that someone is going to experience. We just have no idea. And he says even that he doesn't even know what it would be in his life, and because, you know, he doesn't know how the next 50 years is going to go. And one thing I would highlight as well is that the guy that was saying this, I think earlier in the clip, actually says that I think maybe like his partner is pregnant and about to bring someone into existence. So I think that it's like very relevant now. He makes this point that, you know, I don't know, I can't make this calculation, and he's kind of saying it in a way that, like, he's trying to be humble and saying, you know, well, you know, I can't calculate all this stuff, so I'm not going to say that I'm the supreme overlord and make these definite decisions. But the thing is that you're already bringing someone into the world, so you have made a decision. No, none of us can calculate what suffering someone is going to experience when you do create them. If you don't know, then don't do it. On the side of caution, because essentially what you're saying is, I don't know how much this new person I'm creating is going to suffer. It could be really, really bad, but fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. One more point on this is that, yeah, he says, like, who am I to judge whether life is good or bad? And I've already said how, like, he has already kind of made a judgment because he's taking the action. But I think another point to make is that I think the reason people say this is because just creating new people without really thinking about it that much is something so, like, normal. It's just taken as the norm. It's taken as the default, the baseline. So it's not really seen as you making a decision, I don't think. Whereas not having not creating someone, that is sort of seen as, like, abnormal. Like, in some places you would be socially stigmatized for that. If you are creating someone new, you're definitely making a judgment. But just
Yeah, it's kind of the same as I was actually planning on making a video on this. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Melanie Joy. So Melanie Joy, she works in the animal rights space, and she coined the term carnism. And there's this video that she made, or that she's in from ages ago, which introduces the concept of carnism. And I remember it was a video that I saw ages ago when I was like, I think I was like newly vegan, or it was around the starting time anyway. And she explains that carnism is like this invisible ideology that is sort of baked into society and into many of our psychologies that says it's okay to use animals in the way that we do. And one of the points she was making in that is that one of the ways that carnism operates is that it makes the use of animals and the eating of animals the baseline, and anything that deviates from that is seen as something that warrants justification or should be questioned or is seen as different, right? And yeah, one of the things she says is that if you're like vegan, you're seen as someone who has made a decision to eat something differently, right? It's a decision you make. And eating animals is not seen as a decision in the same way. It's seen as just the done thing. You don't have to decide to eat animals, you just do. You have to decide not to eat them, right? And so veganism is seen as like an active decision, whereas eating animals is more like accepted as like a passive practice that just happens. And I'm sure I've butchered her explanation there, but she goes through all of this stuff anyway. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because that very much links to natalism, because not having children or not procreating or being opposed to procreation is seen as the active thing. You're actively going away from the norm. Having kids, don't need to justify it, don't need to really think about it that much. It's just the done thing. It doesn't need to be questioned. But if you're not, and people ask you, when are you having kids, rather than if you want kids. I mean, nowadays it's a bit more people ask you if you're going to have children, but still the predominant question is when are you going to have children, especially for women. But if you express to someone that you're not going to procreate, you're asked why. There's some sort of request for an explanation of that. But you don't get the same with having children, right? It's not seen as an active thing. Like, oh, why are you having children? You know, it's just, oh, wonderful. Whereas if you don't procreate, it's, why are you not procreating? Why are you not having children? Even if they're not like asking it in like a negative way, they're just curious. They're like, oh, you're doing something different. Why are you doing that? there must be a specific reason behind that. Whereas with having kids, it's like that's just what people do. So I was planning on like going through her work on that, on carnism, and seeing how many parallels could be drawn out with natalism. But again, it's just a matter of time. I want to do that video, but it's just too much stuff to do. Yeah.
Because it's so normalized, it's not.
But yeah, if anyone wants to look at her stuff, Melanie Joy's stuff, and the book where she explains carnism specifically, it's a book called something like Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs and Wear Cows, or something like that. I can't remember if it's in that order, but that's basically that's if you type that in with Melanie Joy, you'll get the book come up.
Seen as one, and so often people frame their discussion, and I think these guys have here, or at least the guy who said it has framed it in that way, saying that, oh, those people over there are making the judgment, and I'm going to be humble and not make a judgment, but actually he has made a judgment.
And I think part of the challenge and invitation of the human experience is to live in such a way that your suffering has enough meaning that you can bear it and it's worthwhile. Live in such a way that the suffering you have to experience is worth it. It's worth the grind that you have to give yourself to.
Cool, yeah, and then he says, live in such a way that makes the suffering you experience worthwhile. And I would wholeheartedly agree with this. Like, once you already exist, like, live the best life you can. Do as much good as you can for yourself and others. Try to minimize the bad that you do to yourself and others, but don't put someone else in that position where they have to do that. Like, you already exist. I already exist. We have to experience some degree of suffering, so you've got to make it worth it. But why would you put someone else in the position where they have got to experience suffering and then make the effort to try and like draw meaning from it? Why would you put someone in that situation? One, why would you put them in that situation anyway? But also, like, just because you found meaning and just because you've sort of overcome the suffering doesn't mean they're gonna do that as well. So just have some more compassion and empathy for those that you might create, and just realize that they might not fare as well as you, and also it's just not fair to put them in that position anyway. Even if they do fare well, yeah, they could make the best out of a bad situation, but why put them in a bad situation in the first place?
Or a very short life where maybe a baby is born and they struggle to breathe and they're like choking on their food for 2 days and then they die. Like that, I see.
Yes.
Horrifically tragic.
What you did was frame the moral discussion or valuation on it, just that individual.
Yeah.
Like the baby's life.
Yeah.
But then they're embedded in this whole system of they indubitably have parents.
Yeah.
That have given birth to this and a whole gestation process, and maybe didn't know that this would be an outcome, and have experienced this great amount of joy throughout that process, or maybe they're of the moral fiber to just be thankful that they got to enjoy an offspring for a few days.
Yeah.
And maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
So here essentially they talk about sort of like the external impacts of creating someone new. So not that impacts them, but the impact they have on others. So they talk about like, it could be this good experience for the parents and stuff like that. I agree that when we're looking at the situation, we need to take into account the impact that creating someone has on others. But I don't think it justifies creating the new person when it could go so wrong for them and they never wanted to be created in the first place. Well, let's say, someone pays for a non-human animal to be killed and skinned so that they can wear a fur coat or a leather jacket or something like that. When you look at what has just happened, of course you can recognize the fact that the person who has done that and is wearing the coat is going to be like, I get so much pleasure from this coat. Every time I look in front of a mirror, I just get this overwhelming feeling. I look so beautiful and this coat adds so much to my life. Yeah, we can recognize that someone has that reaction and it has a positive impact on their life, but does it justify them paying for another sentient being to be killed and skinned? No. And the final thing on this is that at one point they kind of, I don't know if they insinuate or just outright say it, and both agree, which I
That was my vegan YouTuber element coming out in that part.
thought was actually, I don't know how to say it, like I just thought it was kind of grim. They both kind of passed off that they thought it was kind of okay to create someone, then they have like a few short days of suffering, but at least the parents benefited from it. Like, I just think that is such a sick way of viewing others. Just a means to your own ends, especially if the person who is a means to your ends has suffered horrendously.
But we're not just talking about the kid's life. You're talking about the ripple effects of that kid's life. Anybody that they interact with, their life has now been affected and could be better or worse. My kid will cause other people to suffer. That will happen. Mm-hmm. He will be cruel to someone, or he will be selfish and steal from some. Who knows how he will cause suffering. and hopefully he will do great good in the world. I sure hope so. I don't know it.
I think, again, they're sort of doing this thing of like, oh, who knows how it's going to turn out, so, we may as well just do what we want. I don't think that's a reasonable way about going about things. Even if you exclude all of the stuff just in and of itself about creating someone, you just look at how it's going to impact others. If you don't know whether it's going to go well or not, then what is the best thing to do would be adopt someone. Just take someone who already exists and is in a vulnerable situation and try and increase the amount of good they would do.
You don't have to do one of the, you could have some biological children and adopt some.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to go all one or the other.
Right.
The question is it ever better for me to conceive and have a biological kid if I could go instead? There's an opportunity cost there.
Yeah.
I could go and rescue some kid who needs to be adopted.
Notice like how he talks about it. He's just talking about me, me, me. He's just saying, would it be better for me to do this or this? You're literally doing the most significant thing you can do to someone else, which is create.
I might have misunderstood something here. Let me just go back, because he's saying me, 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 but I think he's not saying it as in what's going to benefit me. I think he's saying, what should I do?
Adopt some.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to go all one or the other.
Right.
The question is it ever better for me to conceive and have a biological kid if I could go instead? There's an opportunity cost there.
Yeah.
I could go and rescue some kid who needs to be adopted.
Notice like how he talks.
Yeah, I think maybe he's worded it a bit weirdly, but I think what he's saying is like, is it better if I do this or this? Not for me. He means like morally speaking, and I think I've misunderstood here. So I'm assuming I'm about to go off on one that is on a misunderstanding.
About it. He's just talking about me, me, me. He's just saying, would it be better for me to do this or this? You're literally doing the most significant thing you can do to someone else, which is create them. And the mindset people have, and I'm not trying to hate on this guy at all. It's very normal for people to do this. I would have done this years ago. It's just like all about me. Like, what do I want? What do I want? Me, 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 me. I just feel like it's a bit of a grim way of looking at things and looking at others. But yeah, that's all I had to say on that.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Why did you, at this juncture, choose this route?
My answer probably won't be satisfying for the antinatalist who touts this view, but it does seem to me like there was a desire. So it seems like it seems good to me to propagate my genes.
He just wanted to, then, basically. Why did you do this profound thing? I just wanted to.
He says, oh, well, this won't please the antinatalists or the people who don't agree with procreation. And it's kind of framing it as if, like, he has to please us. It's not about us. I think it is sort of like probably a subconscious sort of underhand way of just making the, opposing side or the other point of view seem unreasonable. Like, he has to live his life by what some random people on the internet say or think he should do. No, that's not the case. I think the real framing is, okay, there are these people who have put forward this opposing view and it has friction with something I'm doing, i.e. creating someone. Maybe I should consider that and think about it. Not, I shouldn't make my decision on whether it appeases them as people, which I think is how he's phrasing it now, and it makes it seem really unreasonable, because it is. It's about, is this the right thing to do? And it's just the antinatalists that have put this point to him. It's not like they're sitting there saying, oh, this guy has to live his life by our rules. Like, no, it's not like that. Sure, your reasons for creating someone may not appease antinatalists, but who really cares about that? What you should be thinking about is, will they appease the person I'm creating if that person has a really shit life? Like in 20 years time, if you've created someone and they're like, I've had a really horrible life, why did you do this? And you gave the reason of, I want to propagate my genes? Really? Do you think that would have any consolation to them? I don't think so.
But it was for the thought of Melissa, and maybe this is just really selfish, but the thought of us never having a biological kid grieved us. I don't know. Even if only maybe.
I don't think it's selfish for that to grieve you, but it is selfish to actually do it.
Maybe there's a curiosity. What would it be like if he was half you and half me, and what kind of kid would we make? Again, I'm not saying that makes a strong ethical argument, but it had a lot of emotional sway on us.
Yeah.
It influenced our behavior.
So yeah, and then he goes on to talk about how he's got sort of like a curiosity and a drive, to create someone and see what happens. And I can understand that curiosity and drive. I used to have that very strongly. A lot of people do. I just don't think that's a good reason to do it. I think we need to come to more of an understanding that the universe doesn't revolve around us and reality doesn't exist to make sure every single one of our needs and desires is satisfied. Yeah, you exist, deal with it. You have needs and desires. Some of them aren't going to be met. Get over yourself. Don't put anyone else in this situation and do the best you can. Don't throw others into the firing line just to satisfy your desires. And to be fair
Bish bash bosh.
to him, he does recognise this. He does say, like, it's not an argument. He just did it sort of based on emotions. And I guess you can't really argue with that. If he just has this emotional impulse to do it, then you can't really argue with it because there's nothing to argue with. It's just emotions. I would just say, like, it's unfortunate, but what can you do?
It was relatively difficult to adopt, cost a lot of money,
I have heard that too.
and we didn't feel like we were in a position to go through. Like even just the legal process
whole
of doing
process
it
of
would
it.
be tens of thousands of dollars that we don't, on top of then the normal
Yep.
cost of a child.
They then talk about like some of the issues with adoption, like that, you know, it can be expensive, the legal issues that you have to go through, or the legal struggles. Totally valid. There are a lot of struggles in many countries to try and adopt someone, and those shouldn't be, you know, discounted or, you know, disregarded. I would just say, like, there aren't only two options. It's not like, oh, you adopt someone or you create someone. If you can't adopt, it doesn't mean you have to create someone. You can just not do anything in regards to that. And I feel like maybe there was an assumption in the discussion that like there was this false dichotomy.
I agree. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to about parenthood is the fact that it causes you to practice selflessness and be thinking about someone else's needs and be responsible. Like it shapes you up. Oh, hopefully, not for everybody apparently, but that could all be true of adoption too. There's nothing about the biological nature of your kids that gives you the benefit of stepping into the parenting role.
Putting yourself in a situation where you have that much responsibility for someone else will probably make you more selfless, and you will do things for your child's sake, not just for your sake. You know, once you've created them, sure, you can be selfless for them, but it's creating them in the first place was the selfish thing. Like, just, you know, because you wanted to, because you desired to, and you're putting them in this situation where a lot of really bad things could happen to them, and they didn't want to be in that situation. I think that's the thing that was missing from what he said, is that, yeah, you commit this extremely selfish act, and then, I mean, you've put someone in that position, so I don't even know if it's selfless later on to then help them out and do things for them, but I can understand where he's coming from, is that it can encourage this nature in you to not just think about yourselves once they exist, but yeah, it's the whole point of, like, you've already created them, and that was the selfish thing to do.
If everyone adopted antinatalism from here on out, we'd be done in 70 years. The human race would no longer exist.
Right. Which is that what Benatar wants? Is he? I mean, that seems to me like you're casting a vote on human existence. Who are you? Who are you to be the judge about whether it would be better or worse that there are no people or that there be people? That seems like a profound.
Well, the thing is like, no one is actually that person. So you can say, who are you? But it's like, no one. Yeah, I am no one, but no one is in that position. There is no one there who can decide whether the human race continues to exist or doesn't. You can decide whether you play into that, whether you add an additional person or, you know, encourage it in some other way, you know, whatever way. So, yeah, I don't know. You can speak in that way, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for your actions, and your actions will have implications for that, even though they are small implications, but you are responsible for whatever the consequences are of what you do. So yeah, I don't know what else to say on that. But yeah,
anti-human sentiment. And maybe I'm wrong or I'm misrepresenting it, but that seems troubling to me.
Yeah, and then here they talk about like human extinction and saying how it's sort of profoundly anti-human. I would say, you know, if you're against creating, you know, new individuals, then like you can be anti-human, and a lot of people are. I don't think you have to be. I think you can even sort of be like pro-human. You can recognize the capacity and capability of humans to do good once they exist, but just not want to create any more. I don't see any contradiction there. I don't think you have to be anti-human. I think maybe, you know, he just had this sort of like repulsion by the idea and wanted to paint it as evil or whatever. And he also says like, who are you to make that decision? Who are you to cast that judgment on whether humans should exist or not? And like, honestly, my reply would just be, well, no, who are you? You're the actual one creating someone right now. Who are you to create someone just because you want to? There is nothing compelling you to do it. You don't have to do it. You're doing it because you want to. Who are you to do that and put them in a situation where they could go through immense suffering, as you've already said? Like, you're uncertain about your own life, so I don't even know how you've gotten to the conclusion that you should be putting this on someone else. So yeah, maybe it seems a bit sort of directed or whatever, but like, honestly, my response would just be like, who are you?
I feel like I satisfied the necessary threshold to be a adequate parent, which was you will have the bottom
but so many people are going to think they meet that threshold.
run.
A lot of, not all, but a lot of whether your kid turns out okay is not necessarily going to come down to whether you're a good parent or not. It's going to come down to often just luck. You know, some people have all of the good intentions in the world and they have loads of resources at their disposal, but it can just come down to luck. It can come down to, well, this would already also be like I was going to point to like a natural disaster. You have no idea who your offspring are going to come into contact with and the influences they may have on them. So yeah,
Of the Maslow's hierarchy, at the very least.
Yeah.
You have your food, you have water, shelter, you have access to
Your
medicine.
kids have a lot more than
They
that.
have a lot more, but just for those who don't know, they don't have direct evidence to the higher rungs.
So you're not contributing to the problem.
No.
Yeah, so now he's talking about how he sort of thinks he was a responsible parent, sort of met all the basic criteria. I don't know what his parenting was like. He could be right, he could be wrong. He could have messed his child up in some way that he doesn't know about and hasn't manifested yet. I've literally got no idea. The thing I would say is just like, well, just because you have doesn't mean anyone else will. Doesn't mean you will do it again if you're planning to do it again. And also, it could just mean you're really lucky. I mean, it doesn't justify what you did in the first place by creating them and rolling that dice, because it may have turned out okay, but it could have gone really badly. But also, it doesn't really matter how good you are as a parent. There are some things that are just out of your control. Your child may get hurt by other people, they get hit by a car, or just reality by nature. You know, they could be in a natural disaster, or they could catch a disease or something like that. There are all these things that are just basically completely out of your control. And also, you could make mistakes. You know, I think they said earlier in the conversation that everyone makes mistakes, and everyone does. And why should the person you created have to pay for the mistakes that you make? Just don't create anyone. And if you make mistakes, then yeah, it's going to impact other people, but at least you haven't brought a new person in that it's going to directly impact.
Would a solution be, what if they're, I mean, he has the right, this is dark, he has the right to opt out of existence. He has the right to end his life.
Yeah.
And suppose, and I could hear the argument being, well, but it would probably involve some suffering, and it would be better if he wasn't born so he didn't have to end it and experience the suffering of ending it. But suppose there was some facility you could go to
Oh boy.
where
Okay.
it is painless, you go to sleep, you say, I'm done, and you opt out. Like those death pods in Australia. What was that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember that technology we saw? That
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
it's a
a thing.
it's a euthanasia pod that you'll just get
Mhm.
tired and fall asleep and completely painless and never wake up.
They mentioned like death pods in Australia. I don't know too much about that, but presumably it's some sort of painless way of euthanasia. The vast majority of people don't have that option. And even if everyone did, it's like it still shows how dark creating someone is. You're putting someone in a situation where they have to literally kill themselves to opt out if they don't like the situation. I just don't think that is an ethical thing to do. And yeah, even if it's painless, like why play this whole experiment in the first place? Like if someone is going to choose to painlessly kill themselves, then presumably they're doing it because they're in pain at the moment and they're suffering. Why create someone for literally no reason when that could happen to them?
I think
I don't know.
I think it might be good to fulfill the drives.
Every
part of-
drive, every drive has a situation in which it is good to fulfill that drive. Is that your claim?
I'm gonna go there. Yeah.
Whoa, okay. Listeners, if you can think of a counterexample, please write in.
Again, and there's framing issues you need to do,
Mhm.
and you really need to be clear on what the drive is. Like,
Yeah.
so a man might say, "I have this drive to see as many women naked or have sex with as many women as possible."
Yeah.
Okay, wait, you've just stacked the deck against me. I feel. Rather, we're just talking
Rather,
about the drive,
the drive for
for
sex. Yeah.
sexual activity.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be with all those other women.
Yeah,
You can be monogamous.
Yeah.
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 So
That's a
that
good- yeah, okay.
just shooting from the hip.
I'm struggling to think of a counterexample. So, listeners, this is where I lean on you. Can you think of a counterexample to what Clint just said? Because I'm coming up short.
And so here's the basic structure of the argument.
Yep, lay it out.
All human drives, once fulfilled appropriately, contribute to the good life. Having a child is a human drive. Therefore, having a child will contribute to you having a flourishing life.
And is it implicit in the first premise that there is an appropriate avenue of expression for every drive? There exists an appropriate
That's right,
avenue
it's
of
possible.
expression for
Yeah.
every drive. And when those drives are fulfilled in those appropriate expressions, brings about the good life.
I would put in ceteris paribus, all things considered. So, like everything about you works properly.
Mm-hmm.
Someone isn't infringing.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
things being equal. Sure.
He lays out like an actual argument by saying, you know, all human actions, if they're filled appropriately, contribute to the good life. But it's like he's kind of begging the question by just assuming that creating someone is an appropriate way to satisfy a drive. If you want to raise someone, if you have that drive, adopt. It may not be perfect for you, but the moral universe doesn't revolve around you. We have to stop just looking at
And also, why create those desires to have to be fulfilled in the first place?
at things from how they benefit us, we need to recognize and take into account that it impacts others. Anyway, so that was everything I had that I thought I wanted to react to from that video. It would be interesting to hear what the guys from Open to Truth think of this video, and other people in the comments below. I'm hoping that I've been as respectful and reasonable as them. Sometimes I may have put things in like a sharp, spicy way, or however you want to put it. I apologize for that if it came off brash or anything like that, but I'm glad that they made this video.
So much post-amble.
Because it exposes more people to having a conversation on this. Even if we don't end up landing on the same conclusion, it's good to generate more conversation. So see everyone in the next video.
Just Stop Oil are a UK...
Okay, so that was that video. This is the last video we're going to watch. It's only a couple of minutes long. And the reason I added this one is because this is a very early... I think this is maybe the first video I do where it's like the recognizable setup. So I'm sat down at a desk with the microphone. It's the same microphone as here. And I'm doing a to-camera piece, right? I think this is the first video where I do it in this format. And this came out on October 6th, 2022. And it's about Just Stop Oil, who are a protest group in the UK. Well, I don't really think they're around anymore. I haven't seen... Well, maybe I've just been with my hand under a rock, but I haven't seen them do anything in a while.
based anti-fossil fuel campaign group, and they recently staged a protest in London where they blocked the streets to try and get the government to take action on cutting down fossil fuel. One particular protester was able to give a short interview or statement whilst they were being arrested, and the video of this went viral. And there's something this woman said in this video which I don't think many people picked up on, but before we get on to that, let's watch the video.
I'm doing this for my son. The government's inaction on climate change is a death sentence for us all. The United Nations have said we should have no new oil. Liz Truss wants to open 130 new oil licenses. That's a death sentence to this planet.
Whilst I agree with the sentiment of what this woman is saying, she mentions that she's doing this protest for her son, and I have an opinion about this, but what I want to do is zoom out and talk generally.
It's crazy how... So this was 1 year later from the video that we just watched. And look how much weight I've put on. Like, I was so skinny back then, and now I look like normal, like how I look now.
Because I don't want to talk about this woman specifically or her son. I don't know what situation they're in. So I want to make a general point about what she said. My basic point is, if you know that the world is a messed up place and it's likely to get more messed up, what are you doing bringing a kid here? If you're unsure about your own future and you don't know how it's going to go, why are you forcing someone else into this situation? I think it's good that people are fighting for a better and a cleaner future, but even if we remove all of the environmental issues that we're facing at the moment, the world is still going to be a messed up place, even if it's sustainably messed up. Who am I and who are you to force someone else into that messed up world, even if it's sustainably messed up? Like, of course, like governments and big corporations have to play their part in creating a better future, but that doesn't absolve us as individuals of any responsibility for our actions. No big company or government has forced any climate activist to force someone else into existence. Think of it like this in terms of responsibility. Imagine there's a crime-ridden area and so many people who go there get mugged or assaulted. What sense does it make to send your own son into that crime-ridden area with an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation under his arm, knowing that he might get mugged or assaulted, and then protesting outside that community saying, we need to make this place better? Sure, protest,
We bring
but don't
children in
send
this
someone...
world and we raise them to be warriors against evil.
And we have another donation come through, and this one is from Bovine Blue Stocking. Thank you so much, Bovine, absolute legend. Let's bring it on to me. And Bovine says, hey Lawrence, I'm enjoying the trip down memory lane. It is a bumpy road down memory lane here. But also looking forward to all your videos you're going to make in the future, and that's why I'm going to celebrate your birthday. Call me selfish if you like. Well, Bovine, someone's got to celebrate it. But thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for the support and for watching. And yes, loads more videos to come. Just a matter of time of getting them done. You already know this, but just to share for people as a bit of a teaser. So the next sort of research-based video that I want to do is on antinatalism and space colonization. So you wouldn't think those two things really interlink that much. It's not the first thing that would come to mind. But there have actually been a few things written about this. There are a couple of book chapters on the bioethics of space colonization and talk about antinatalism. And there's a few papers that are relevant to this as well. So yeah, that is going to be that is the next one that I'm working on. I've literally got one of the papers open on my laptop that I've been reading. So yeah, look forward to that. Cool. I think that was all I was going to say. But thank you so much, Bovine, and let's watch the rest of this video.
In there when you know what the situation is, so that they might come to some harm. Even though as individuals we're not responsible for how the world is today. Well, we play our small part, but we're not wholly responsible for how the world is today. We are responsible for our actions in that world, and forcing someone else into this world, we are definitely responsible for that. Do you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree? Do you think I've been too harsh? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.
Boom. And we're back to fresh-faced Lawrence. So I still didn't have my outro there. I don't know where the outro first came in, but I will have to figure it out at a later date. But that is it. So those were 3 videos that I wanted to go over from right back the start of when I started making videos for YouTube. And bear with me. Everything's going crazy on my laptop. Those were videos from back when I first started. And it was the first ever one, and then 2 where I had my first original weird setup that was such a ball ache. And when I was clearly a lot more fiery. And then, yeah, that one on the Just Stop Oil, a short one where I'm in sort of like the recognizable setup. So I hope everyone enjoyed going down, as Bovine put it, memory lane with me. I thought it was kind of funny and interesting to look at how the videos were back then. I think, you know, there's still further to go, but it's come a long way. You'd expect in 350 videos. But yeah, so thank you for everyone's condolences in the chat. Another year, just a tiny bit wiser, hopefully. And yeah, another year pushing through the hellscape that is sentient existence. Cool. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will catch everyone in the next one.